Of all the great sailing spots around the world, the Caribbean remains one of the best. In this issue, we go down to the Leeward Islands and sample a new pleasure, catamaran sailing. Catamarans are fast, and there's plenty of room for a family to spread out. So let's head down to Antigua and join David and Judy Lloyd and their 2 children. The Lloyds begin their journey on the British island of Antigua, known to sailors everywhere as the setting for Antigua Race Week and a haven for boats since the days of Lord Nelson. They pick up their charter boat at Nelson's Dockyard, where they've arranged for a 39-foot privilege catamaran, a choice Judy is pleased with.
It sure is nice to be able to take the children on a holiday where we can have a base that we can call home that is very much like home because we have our kitchen and we have our own living accommodation, and we can play games and spend the time reading to them, telling them stories, and talking to them and listening to them, doing things together, swimming, snorkeling, whatever it might be, is something that we don't get the chance to do very often at home.
Before setting sail, the Lloyds explore the historic waterfront. Many of these 18th century buildings have been restored, and the whole area is now preserved as a national park, a sort of time capsule of sailing in the 1700s.
Apparently one of the things we must do here is listen to Joe Brierley every morning at 9 o'clock, Channel 68 on VHF. He always has a few anecdotes. He has the weather forecast, some history, a few off-color jokes. Joel, he's a real character.
All stations, good morning. This is English Harbour Radio with the marine forecast for Antigua, Barbuda and the central Leeward Islands. For today, fairly breezy. Winds mainly easterly, but becoming just a fraction south of east, about east-southeasterly, 18 to 22 knots. Well, now, happy birthday to Suzanne on Almathea. Lovely name, Suzanne. It always reminds me of sort of classical ladies with long black hair.
A climb up to Shirley Heights that evening is rewarded with a spectacular view of the harbors below. On Sundays, this is the place to be, with a steel drum band and great barbecued chicken. From English Harbor, the Lloyds plan to sail to Green Island to do some snorkeling, then on to the French islands of Guadeloupe, Gosier, and Les Saints.
Huh?
The boat is...
Yes, it's 20 feet, honey.
Previously monohull sailors, the Lloyds were now looking forward to testing the catamaran on open water. They were thrilled to find the boat was fast, comfortable, and very stable on the water, assets any family could appreciate on a cruise. Green Island provides an ideal stopping point before the passage to Guadalupe, and an excellent opportunity to test the waters. The catamaran averages 7 knots on the nearly 40-mile offshore passage to Guadalupe. arrive at the fishing village of Port Louie near dusk.
GPS put us right on the button, and unfortunately we couldn't anchor. It was a little too rolly, so we moved off to the mouth of the Salee River and anchored off about the third buoy.
There's nothing like a nice, quick, early morning swim before breakfast to wake you up. It's, the water's nice and warm.
Let's get Mom!
Nice thing about a catamaran is that not only can you swim to the front, but you can swim through the boat to the front.
It's easier swimming this way.
Have a nice, refreshing swim, and then come back on board for a good breakfast, works up a good appetite.
We'll leave at least one.
Two.
Two?
For the fish, right?
For the fish.
No, for...
Are you going to try and catch fish with pancakes?
Yeah.
Pancake bait?
So there's lots of yellow, or skipjacks?
The Lloyds would soon navigate down the River Salee to their next destination, the city of Pointe A Pitre. The river divides the two halves of the butterfly-shaped island of Guadeloupe.
It really is a pretty little river separating the two halves of the island. One side is really hilly, the other side's really flat.
The River Salee is actually part of an elaborate network of mangrove channels. It's not difficult to navigate and can accommodate up to a 6-foot draft.
They say that you can go up some of these little creeks with a dinghy and find your way through the mangroves. Just before we get to Pointe A Pitre, we have a bridge. Unfortunately, the bridge is not high enough for us to go under, so we have to wait until 5 in the morning. And at that point in time, they open the bridge and anyone that's waiting can go through it.
Okay. Whoa. Okay.
Pointe A Pitre is a colorful and fascinating city, the largest in Guadeloupe.
Okay.
The Lloyds first visit the town square, which is bustling with activity.
We're very lucky to be here during carnival time.
Carnival is the East Indian version of Mardi Gras, the week-long celebration before Lent.
My favorite part in this carnival is the carousel. I can't believe that they've actually gone out and handmade all these animals and cars in this carousel. There's a bunch of guys running around pushing this carousel around.
This is the last night of Carnival, and this is the night of the black and white. And they have competing bands with loud drums and chanting and singing, and it's really quite exciting.
By the next morning, things had quieted down as the family explored the marina of Bas de Four. This modern facility has all the necessary provisions, shops, and excellent restaurants. The short hop from Pointe A Pitre to Gosier provides a sheltered passage. With the autopilot on, the Lloyds have a chance to relax on board. Gosier, with its beautiful beaches, was a picture-perfect anchorage for the night. Gosier is classic Caribbean. White sand beaches and surrounded by coral reefs.
It's a gorgeous little beach, and the kids are so happy. Now, Jennifer is snorkeling really well. She's never snorkeled this well before at all, but the water is so clear and calm that she's able to take off her life jacket and snorkel by herself.
Andrew saw these French people eating a sea urchin, and now he wants to dive down and get one.
Sea urchins are just one of the creatures that can be seen in the amazingly clear waters offshore.
Jennifer and Andrew certainly have gone out of their way to meet other children. At home, they are less outgoing, and here they're playing with French kids and native kids.
It's nice to be able to spend the morning at the beach and still have time to sail all the way down to the Saints in an afternoon. I suppose we couldn't do that if this boat didn't go so fast, but knowing that we can easily average 6 to 7 knots, even in fairly light winds, it's comforting.
As they near Les Saints, the seas become busier with a variety of sailing vessels. Les Saints, the Lloyd's final destination, is a small group of islands that is part of the Guadalupe province. They were once part of a French penal colony, and today's population is said to be descended from the original prisoners. Tomorrow the Lloyds would go ashore, but for now there's still enough light for a little windsurfing. Les Saints are relatively unspoiled by tourism. They combine the sophistication of France with the warm breezes of the Caribbean.
They obviously don't get a lot of English tourists here. If you've got a little bit of rusty French, it really helps.
I just love French bread. These baguettes are nice and fresh. I'm sure they were just baked within the last hour.
Oh, look at that little short, little stubby
High
can.
above the village sits Fort Napoleon, beautifully restored since the days when it was a stronghold against British invaders from the sea.
Okay, up he goes. Pull yourself over. Sit down.
I can't believe this view from the fort. It's absolutely glorious. It really is a fantastic place.
One loses track down here in the Caribbean when moving from gorgeous island to gorgeous island. They're all so different, each one of them unique, and the towns have a lot of variety. But we've certainly enjoyed our 2 weeks down here and are going to come back again.
The Lloyds leave the Leeward Islands as converts to both catamaran sailing and the Caribbean way of life.